2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I love doing math. I love doing math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I love doing math. I love doing math. Hey, math is so easy to me. It's so easy. Count it up like.
Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about solving area equations. So I'm going to warn you that today's problems are a little bit challenging, but they are nothing you can't handle. We're going to take everything we have learned about quadrilaterals and triangles, and we're going to put it together to solve these problems today. We have today to practice, we have tomorrow to practice. We are going to do a couple of problems together right now, and then I'm going to turn you loose to do a bunch of example problems on your own. They're all posted in Google Classroom. In Google Classroom, you also have the link to a document that has all of the area formulas that we've talked about over the past couple of days, so it might be helpful for you to pull that up now. Now I'm going to turn it over to my iPad screen, and we're going to go through two different example problems together. I'm going to do them on my screen while you do them on a piece of paper. Renee is sewing a quilt whose pattern contains right triangles. Each quilt piece is a right triangle with a height of 6 inches and an area of 24 square inches. How long is the base of each quilt piece? So let's look at step 1 first, which tells us we need to identify our shape and our area formula. So if we look at this problem, we can see that we are dealing with a triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and underline that. And because of that, we know our area formula will be 1/2 base times height. We're going to turn to step 2, which is to identify our known and unknown information. So I know the height of this triangle is 6 inches, and I know the area is 24 square inches. My unknown information is how long is the base of each triangular quilt piece. Personally, I think it's helpful to use this information to draw a picture. So I know that I have a right triangle. That's why I have a right angle in my triangle. And the height is 6 inches. And my area for this entire shape is 24 inches squared. So you don't have to draw a picture, but personally I think it's helpful so that I can visualize what I'm trying to figure out here. So if I go on to step 3, I'm going to use my known information to write an equation. So instead of writing A, I write 24, since I know the area, 1/2 times B, I don't know what the base is, times the height, which I do know. It's 6. Now I'm going to rewrite this and arrange it so that I have 24 equals 5/10, which is equivalent to 1/2, times 6 times B. So I just rearranged the order of the numbers to make it a little bit easier to multiply. When I multiply through, I have 24 equals 3B, because 5/10 times 6 equals 3. I just want to remind you that the reason why I'm writing 24 instead of A is because the word problem tells us that 24 is our area. We already know what it is, so that's why we are writing 24 instead of A. Now let's turn to step 4. It tells us to use the inverse operation to solve for the unknown quantity. So inverse operation means the opposite of what we are doing. We have 3B, which means we are multiplying 3 times B. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we need to divide by 3, and we're going to do that on both sides of our equation. 24 divided by 3 equals 8. 3 divided by 3 would equal 1. So instead of writing 1B, we just write B. So now we have 8 equals B, or we could say B base equals 8. In this case, it's 8 inches. Now that's our answer, but before we call it our final answer, let's turn to step 5. Step 5 tells us to check your answer. So I'm going to check my answer by writing down the formula for the area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height, and I am going to plug in the numbers that I now know. 1/2 times the base of 8, which I just solved, times the height of 6, and when I multiply those numbers together, I get that the area is 24 inches squared, which is in fact what my problem told me the area should be. So we know our answer is correct. Okay, I know that was a lot of work, all for one problem, but you did it. You could probably do it on your own. We're going to take a look at one more problem together. A garden in the shape of a trapezoid has an area of 44 4/10 square meters. One base is 4 3/10 meters long, and the other base is 10 5/10 meters long. The height of the trapezoid is the width of the garden. How wide is the garden? So we know we're dealing with a trapezoid, so I'm going to write my area formula for the trapezoid. That's step 1. And I'm going to move on to step 2 where I identify my known and unknown information. So I know that the area is 44 and 4/10 square meters. I know that the base is 4 and 3/10 meters long. I'm going to circle it so the base is included in that. And I know that the other base is 10 and 5/10 meters long. Another important piece of information is that the height of the trapezoid is the width. Our unknown information is how wide is the garden, but we know that the width is the same as the height. So I'm going to write a little h there. I can use my known information now to draw a picture of my trapezoid. So I have my base and my other base. I'm going to label it as 10 and 5/10 meters on the bottom and 4 and 3/10 meters on the top. I have my height, which I'll represent with this dotted line, and we don't know what that is, so I'm just going to write an H. Step 3 tells us to use this known information to write an equation. So I'm going to plug in what I know to this area formula. So instead of writing A, I write 44 and 4/10, which equals 1/2 times H, I don't know what H is, times 4 and 3/10, plus 10 and 5/10. Again, similar to what I did last time, I'm going to rearrange this so that I have 1/2 times what's in parentheses here, which is 14 and 8/10 when we add them together, multiplied by H. And again, I'm going to rewrite this as 44 and 4/10 times 7 and 4/10, which is what we get when we multiply 1/2 times 14 and 8/10, and then I have H. This brings us to step 4, where I need to use the inverse operation of multiplication, which is division, to solve for H. So I divide by 7 and 4/10 on both sides. Okay, so when I take 44 and 4/10 and divide it by 7 and 4/10, it gives me an answer of 6 equals H, our height. So we now know that the height is equal to 6, but specifically we wanted to know what the width was equal to. It's the same as the height. We know that from the problem. So our answer is that the width of the trapezoid is 6 inches. Now, before we call that our final answer, let's check our answer. That's step 5. So I'm rewriting my formula for the area of the trapezoid, and now I'm going to plug in my known information. I now know that the height is 6 inches, and I'm going to multiply that by the two quantities for the bases that we already knew. I'm going to rewrite that now, having solved for the parentheses. So I'm multiplying 1/2 times 6 times 14 and 8/10. And when we multiply that through, I do in fact get 44 and 4/10 as my final answer, which is what I am supposed to get based on this problem. All right, that was a lot of work, but you totally did it. You probably didn't even need me. Now it's time to get to work on your independent practice that is posted in your Google Classroom assignment for today. It might be helpful to rewind this video and pause it so that you can see the 5 steps that we were solving. That will help you when you're doing these problems independently. If you get stuck, if you need help, you know where to find me. You know how to get a hold of your teachers. Have fun!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I love doing math. I love doing math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I love doing math. I love doing math. Hey, math is so easy to me. Count it up like